Hey sociologists, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Angela. I am a woman in STEM and have been in the STEM industry for over 14 years. I'm also a former university lecturer as well, and I've been teaching in the Australian tertiary education system for 10 years, 10 plus years actually. So I thought it would be fun to do my first ever reaction video. And today we are reacting to a clip from one of my favorite shows, The Big Bang Theory. Now, as much as I love this show, this clip in particular that I'm reacting to is a clip that I don't think I've watched before. All I know is that it's related to STEM and it's related to academia. So in this video, I'll talk about a few things, how the STEM industry translates into the corporate environment, especially for STEM women, how the academic environment in other countries such as the US sort of translate to the Australian one, which is the one that I've worked in, maybe kind of throw in some of my own personal anecdotes from being a woman in STEM in the industry for a while. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's go over our emotional responses one last time.
Okay.
Professor Tupperman is dead, and that makes us...
sad.
The fact that there are so many people here tonight doesn't make us cranky and claustrophobic. It makes us...
glad.
Giving Mrs. Davis the box set of Roots was...
bad. Yeah, however.
No.
Yeah, fine, bad.
Unbelievable. You have some nerve showing up here just to schmooze with the tenure committee.
You're here.
Excuse me, I'm here to pay my...
Okay. Now I think I remember what episode this is. So from memory, I think the characters in this show were showing up to a networking event. That's why they're all there. And it seems that a professor from their faculty has died, and he was a tenured professor at the university. So if you guys aren't aware what a tenured professor means, it's a position at the university that's probably one of the most coveted in the academic world. It's basically giving a professor a job for life at a university institute. So what I mean by job for life is having a job for life. Basically, the only way, from what I've heard, that you could lose a tenured position at a university is if you pass away, obviously, like what's happening in this clip, or you do something really, really, really bad that makes the university look really bad, or maybe the university doesn't have enough funding to fund a tenured position, don't know, but that job is yours, and that job is yours for life, which is why there are committees and panels dedicated to deciding tenured positions, so which professionals will get these positions, because it's not an easy decision and it is a big risk to the institute, because you're basically giving someone a lot of power and I guess keeping them around for a very long time. So you want to make sure that you're choosing the person wisely. This is more prominent in the US and the UK and international tertiary education systems. This used to be a thing in Australia, apparently, but not anymore, not at least during the last 11 years I've been an academic. You're probably thinking, why would anyone want to work in a tertiary education system until they die? Haven't people heard of work-life balance? A position like this is highly coveted for many reasons. One of the reasons is that you get what we call academic freedom. It's really difficult to sort of get support and funding for certain ideas for research topics if that research topic is steering towards a direction that the university does not want to go into, or it's controversial, or might not be a priority for the different entities that are funding the research. And so having academic freedom sort of allows a tenured professor to explore whatever it is that they want to explore. They have freedom to go into research and maybe look into more controversial topics that would not have been supported before. You are a valued member of the university faculty, so you are most likely going to be in a position where you might be members of a particular internal university board that makes decisions about how the university institute will run, or, you know, in terms of criteria for selecting students or the type of research that people are doing, or, you know, the university's values, who they're affiliating with. You get a lot of say as a professor. Being a tenured professor also allows you job stability. One of the biggest issues with going into academia, teaching at a university, going into research, is that for majority of your career, especially in the first few years, it is very unlikely that you obtain a stable position or a salaried position that provides you with financial stability. That's kind of what deters a lot of people from moving away from academia. That also explains why a lot of academics that teach you at universities have more than one job. That's because they're usually kind of recruited as a contract to contract basis until they eventually land a full-time salaried position. Having a position like this where you have a job for life and you have a salary for life, that is very attractive. That level of stability is attractive to anyone in the field. A tenured position is really attractive because then it will open a lot of doors for you in terms of other opportunities in leadership, especially in executive roles that have a lot of influence, not just in the university, but outside of it in the industry that you are serving. So for example, tenured professors might be on boards of directors or in committees that are making a lot of decisions that influence federal policy, state policy levels, you know, anything to do with whatever's going on out there. And that really makes an impact in terms of the way the industry is run, you know, how it works, and I guess the type of workforce they're recruiting. So yes, we can see why everyone is competing for this position.
I'm here to pay my respects to Professor Tupperware, or whatever his name is.
So am I. His passing makes me feel bad.
Well, Sheldon, fancy meeting you here. I guess the train store in Glendale wasn't having a cotillion after all. And you said you weren't coming here either.
I would take accent. You don't know what I said.
I'd like to know why Penny's here.
I'm here to support my man, just like you.
I find this scene with all of them together with their partners very interesting. What people don't realize is that the STEM industry is built on a patriarchal system. There was a point in our history where the industry of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics only had men as the workforce for many centuries. Men were from particular cultural backgrounds and religious backgrounds, from a certain social class, wealth class, all from the same perspective, creating and embedding these policies and creating the system that we know today as STEM. So one of the things that I find really interesting about networking events, and something that I observed at a very young age, was that whenever there was a gathering of men, professional men in a professional setting at a networking event, something that I would notice a lot is that they will bring their partners if they had a partner. And it's so interesting that in this scene, majority of the characters have brought their partners to this event, except for Raj, poor Raj. And I think it just really highlights kind of like the biases that we have in this industry that still play a factor in success today. For men, being successful in the STEM industry kind of carries a certain level of traits that people like to recognize. These traits kind of lean into the provider role. And if a man in the industry kind of, you know, exemplifies being a provider and showing success, not just in their professional life, but in their personal life, it is well known that men get promoted more. They also get access to opportunities more, and they also are earning more. So for a man to be deemed as successful in any corporate environment, they usually need to exemplify traits of leadership and masculinity and being a provider. These sort of traits look like being able to lead a team, taking action, being assertive, planning. You know, these sorts of masculine traits are very recognized in our industry and also rewarded. Men tend to bring partners to these events because, again, there's this inherited bias, like a subliminal one. People don't really talk about it. It kind of shows success. Like, hey, I'm not just successful in my professional life, I'm also successful in my personal life. Look at my partner. You know, I've got a family, I've got kids. And having a family and kids and a successful, you know, personal relationship, like intimate relationship, kind of shows I manage a family, I lead a family, I can lead a team of people. I am a provider to my children, I am a provider to my wife. Yes, I can make decisions, I can take action, I'm assertive, you know, all the traits that we recognize as success in this industry. So men do love to bring partners to events like this where they've got other powerful men, I guess, deciding their fate or influencing the opportunities that they might be able to access, because women elevate the social status of men, especially when you are bringing a partner or a woman who has her own social status. So she's built herself from the ground up, or she might be conventionally beautiful, or she's intelligent and accomplished in her own right, or comes from a well-known family, whatever. Women elevate the status of men in a patriarchal society. It's just interesting how this plays out in the field of STEM. And again, I would love to say that this doesn't happen anymore, but the dynamic is still there. As long as a man can exemplify that he can have provider qualities, people will inherently treat him a lot differently and will kind of throw promotions and opportunities at him more. This reminds me of a time I actually had a friend who was a leader in the industry. He was really young. He was younger than me. He was like 28, 29. And he was already in positions of leadership at a very, very young age. But he was single and he didn't have a family. He didn't have a partner. And I remember he was telling me that his mentors actually told him to wear a fake wedding ring one time to an interview to kind of show the message that he can be a provider, because men who are single also experience bias in the industry. Men who don't have families or a partner are still a little bit immature in the field and might not understand how to be a good leader. Of course, that is not true. Like, a lot of these things are generalizations, but it's still a bit of a culture in the corporate environment. Now, for women in STEM, it's a bit different. It's actually the opposite. Women, throughout the many, many years they've been in the industry, experience collectively a different type of bias. Late 20s, early 30s is usually the time where women might want to settle down and have a family and focus on having children and building her personal life instead of focusing on her career. Of course, not all women are like this, but this is usually the time where this happens for women. So as a result, women have to choose. They tend to have to choose between sacrificing their career for their personal life or vice versa. Also, the fact that biologically we give birth to children, we are pregnant with children, we have to take care of children, so we have to take time away from work to look after our family. There are still people in the industry who have biases against women and promoting them in positions of leadership because of this. Basically, because women have to take time away from their career, maybe 1 or 2 years or more or less, whatever, to kind of focus on their family life, and men don't really have to do that. So what women do in social settings like this, from what I've noticed, and this is something that I do as well, is that women don't bring plus ones or women don't bring their partners to certain events. Again, probably because they just want some time out and or whatever it is, but also because sometimes people can have biases that can influence your ability to reach certain opportunities. Sometimes it's better for people in the industry not to know what's going on in a woman's personal life, because you just never know who's making decisions about the opportunities in this industry for you. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
Do it.
Wow. Penny is hot.
What, did she do it yet?
She plans on flirting with members of the tenure committee to further Leonard's cause.
No, well, that's a fine how do you do. Don't just stand there, take your breaths out.
Oh my God.
Ooh, meerkat fight.
You're all wasting your time. Sheldon is the most qualified for the job, and no amount of gravity-defying bosom's gonna change that. Seriously, is that tape? Like, how are they staying up like that?
Way to hit him with both barrels.
You two should be ashamed of yourself.
Another thing I wanted to highlight is how women in STEM get treated and perceived depending on what they look like. I think what makes this show so funny, especially to someone like me who's an inner nerd, and to all the nerds out there, we find this show so funny because a lot of us who have been perceived as nerds in society have experienced and can resonate with a lot of the feelings and experiences that some of the characters can face in the show. What kind of makes this show funny and interesting is how much they play on the stereotypes that people have, that society has about women in STEM. Society has this perception that a woman cannot be both things, that a woman cannot be smart, like Amy Farrah Fowler, Sheldon's partner, and beautiful, conventionally beautiful like Penny. We get placed in boxes a lot because of this. People cannot fathom that women are multifaceted and that they have a bajillion different traits that make them who they are. And we all look differently. Like, we all look different. Just because we're working in the field of STEM doesn't mean that we all look a certain way, behave a certain way, speak a certain way, or are socially awkward and all of these things. And the interesting thing is that when women tend to be more conventionally attractive according to society's standards of beauty, and they're working in any environment, women get treated differently. They get treated like they're stupid. It's kind of like there's this like inherited assumption that as soon as women put makeup on and they do their hair and they take pride in their appearance, that their IQ drops 10 points or something like that. But that's not the case. As I've said, women are multifaceted. We can be working in the industry, finding a cure for cancer, calculating the trajectory of, space flight, I don't know. But also have a good beat face, or, wear our hair a certain way, or have, pride in our appearance. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is women are multifaceted and they can be anything they want. And just because they look a certain way or behave a certain way doesn't deplete their level of intelligence in any way, because just like men, women can do it all. We don't sit there and deplete a man's intelligence for being good looking if he's a doctor or a surgeon and he happens to be conventionally attractive. No one says anything about them. But when it's a woman, it's a different story.
Answer your cause with sexuality and whatever Amy plans on doing.
See? They're playing into...
Are you implying that my girlfriend has no sexuality to exploit?
Yes.
Okay, because that was not clear.
Sheldon!
What? That was ambiguous.
Well, now it's biguous. What are you going to do about it?
You could talk some smack about his mother.
Well, yes, of course. He wouldn't like that at all. Last night I was feeling in need of sexual release when I happened to come across your mother.
Okay, guys.
Okay, on that thought, like, just have a look at this scene right now. Again, it plays into the gender norms. It plays into society's stereotypes about men versus women in this industry, and, you know, intelligent women versus not intelligent. You know, Amy and Penny get compared all the time. Penny is known to be conventionally beautiful according to society's standards of beauty. But in this show, she is perceived to be not so smart. Street smart, but not academically smart. And Amy is perceived as the opposite. Again, notice how everyone is partnered up in this scene except for Raj, which is the character in the grey suit in the right side. Notice the way he is being perceived in this scene, not having a partner in it. He's kind of perceived as the least successful candidate out of the group in the group setting. And that's not actually true. From what I know about this character in this show, he's got a PhD just like everyone else. You know, he's just as successful academically, but in this scene, in this moment, he's not perceived that way.
Kidding? I would love to babysit for you.
I could not ask you to do that.
Nonsense. Children love me. Something about me just makes them...
I can see in this scene they're all gathered together to attend a networking event to schmooze the tenure committee. So all the members of the tenure committee are there. It's an opportunity to show their condolences for someone who has passed away and commemorate their memory of, I guess, all the things that they have done for the university. But it's also an opportunity for people who want to show interest in the position to show their face. And I've talked about this on the channel before. Networking events, the whole purpose of them is for you to show your face and make sure you're showing your face to the right people. I know people don't like to attend these things. They think that they're a waste of time, but networking events are crucial to your success in the industry. You know, showing your face to these events, showing that you're keen, it really makes a big difference in terms of how competitive you can be.
No, we can.
So if I was Raj in this instance, in this moment, if I knew that a highly coveted opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for my industry in academia just came up, I would not have shown up alone. Sorry, Raj. And there you have it. That was my first reaction video to an episode of Big Bang Theory. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If there are any other clips from shows or movies or social media that you would like for me to react to, anything related to STEM, women in STEM, or academia, or whatever it is that you want me to react to, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!